Hey everybody, Dawn Zoldi here. You're welcome back to the Dawn of Drones. If you were with us on our original stream, thanks for hanging with us because we had some technical difficulties. So we're going to do, had a hard stop, so we're going to go ahead and just start from the top. So we've got a clean show here with our incredible guest, Alon Ben-Gal, who is coming to us live from Israel. He is the CEO and founder of ABG Strategic Consulting and the Unmanned Network. And thank you so much, Alon, for being with us and for your patience as we kind of work through some of these challenges today.
Not a problem.
Yeah, so everybody out there, we are live, and I never even got the chance to say hello to Salim Henry, who was coming to us from Lusaka, Zambia. So we do have a global audience, and you know, it's no surprise because this month is dedicated to global industry leaders. And perfect month to have you, Alon, because what you're doing with the Unmanned Network is really unique. And what I'd like to do first is go ahead and roll a video that shows kind of a holistic overview of the network. So let's go ahead and do that.
With an ever-growing operational demand, the unmanned system market is on a constant rise as air, maritime, and ground-based systems are ever expanding into further mission applications. Surveying and mapping for industrial, infrastructure, environmental and agriculture, delivery, cargo, medical and logistics, sports and entertainment, intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance for security and military applications, search and rescue, and more. The unmanned ecosystem is an extensive network of technologies, manufacturers, service providers, and users comprised of platforms, mission sensors, flight control and avionics, power plant and energy distribution, data link and connectivity, software, hardware, data management, artificial intelligence and machine learning, all engulfed by prime manufacturers, parts and component providers, operational and technical services, market research, training and education, logistics, financial, legal and insurance services, human resource and subject matter experts, market events. Introducing the Unmanned Network. Our mission is to promote and connect unmanned stakeholders spanning all over the extensive unmanned ecosystem, supporting all professional functions and company officials, business development and marketing, procurement and buyers, engineering, manufacturing, logistics, training, HR, legal, and more. Join now and generate leads and expand market growth with a broad variety of published opportunities within the Unmanned Network. Create opportunities in accordance with all your company's requirements. Promote your business with extensive reach out and consistent exposure to industry-leading manufacturers, service providers, subject matter experts, end users, academia, investors and ventures, and more. The Unmanned Network, connecting the vast unmanned ecosystem.
About 20 years ago, when I enlisted to the IAF. In total, over 5,000 operational and training flight hours on numerous systems throughout my career. After which I worked for a decade at Elbit Systems, for which I was initially a chief instructor pilot and test pilot. And then for my last years there, switched to the dark side of business development and marketing, where I was head of strategic analysis and competitive intelligence. And 4 years ago, exactly 4 years ago to date, November 2018, I was decided for good reasons to open up my own private firm, ABG-SC, which is dedicated to the Unmanned Network providing direct, unique, under the radar yet highly effective consultancy and research. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But from that, we also derive the Unmanned network itself, which we'll discuss, of course.
I love that, and again, you kind of glossed over this, Alon, but I'm going to mention this here. You kind of fell into uncrewed aircraft systems when you're in the Israeli Defense Force. I know that was something you weren't super familiar with, and then it became like your life. And then, you created ABS, Strategic Consulting. I love the origin story, though, specifically of this, let's call it a sub-effort, if you will. This has become a very large effort, this unmanned network. It's a cool origin story because, like so many of us, we all attend these various, industry events. And I recall that you were at one of these and an elderly gentleman approached you and the light bulb went off for you. Tell us about that story because it's just so powerful.
Absolutely. So, we all go to these trade shows and exhibitions and participate. And the reason we all go there is to make connections and at the bottom line, sell whatever it is that we need to sell, whether it's services and products, which we'll elaborate in a minute because it has to do a lot with the Unmanned network.
Yes.
So many years back, when I was still working at my previous company, I attended one of these international, exhibitions with this 30-meter booth, 90 square feet. We need to change it from meters to square feet booth. And this elderly, very nice gentleman approached me because I was, the representative of my company standing there at the booth. And he basically showed me and told me he brought a product that his company manufactures these backpacks, these military grade, heavy duty, amazing, like all weather, just jump in the mud and do whatever you want with them backpacks, that you can do a lot of things with them. One of the things is to put small drones inside. And the reason he approached me obviously was to try and make connections in order to sell his product to the company I worked for.
Right.
And then we talked a little bit and you understand that his company, which I'll say extremely, it's like, this garage type company, is owned by him, founded by him. He's the CTO, he's the CEO, he's the chief engineer. His wife does the books for him, and his son does a little bit marketing on Facebook and LinkedIn. Then you say to yourself, it's not fair. This guy has an amazing product. How can he literally go inside these big OEMs, or the other way around? How does the buyer sitting in these large OEMs that needs to buy a backpack for whatever, even find out that this guy exists?
Yeah.
So then the idea started originating. Fast forwarding many years, it was like a seed planted inside,
just germinating.
Yeah, absolutely. Fast forwarding many years afterwards, where ABG-SC already developed and we started working and we consulted within the unmanned industry. We still do, fortunately and unfortunately.
Yes.
But we were receiving a lot of what we call find me jobs. What is a find me job? Find me an actuator with this spec that can do 1, 2, 3, 4. Find me a servo. Find me a battery. Find me a good pilot to hire.
Yeah.
These are what we call find me jobs. Now, we are a strategic consulting firm. Obviously, I wanted myself and my team to concentrate on these amazing projects that we had and still have. And I didn't want to, waste our time in the good sense of the word on finding servos and batteries. So then I said, there's got to be something online. Like we have a Craigslist. Craigslist exists.
Yeah.
So isn't there like a Craigslist for the unmanned industry? So you search and search and search and search, and there are other platforms which, doesn't really matter. There are many of them, but the best that basically we saw that there are directories, like there is a list of companies.
Or Alon, they're very targeted. In other words, you have your drone pilot network, right? Where
absolutely
maybe a company will work with a national network in the US anyway, of pilots. They apply for, put in their profiles, a job comes up, like very kind of, I will say almost I like not niche, but you know what I mean. Very specific, not as broad as what you're talking about. Like, I'll give you a great example, and I love these guys out of Utah in the U.S., DroneLife. right? Very kind of environmentally
They're on the
focused.
network as well.
Yeah. Oh, you work with them?
They're on the network.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we're going to talk about that in a second. So I love Paul Hewish. He was like one of the first people on this show ever. And, but he's not going to find you, like you said, avionics. So keep talking. I mean to interrupt, but this is good stuff.
No, absolutely. So then I said, wait a minute. So if I'm a buyer or a procurement manager inside of a company, I'm looking for something, like at best, what I'm going to do is a simple Google, and
Right.
the first maybe one
Yep.
page that will
Yep.
come up, I will go through them, and that's it. Or
Well,
go
and to
to
your
Ali.
point, Alon, that gentleman that approached you at that conference in the garage, that works out of his garage with, his wife and son, and he's not going to come up probably on that Google search, right? Because
Nope, nope.
he's not feeding that algorithm. He might not be paying to boost his, promotion, his, SEO status on that or other platforms.
So the exact closure, and I will close this circle because there is a closure, and
Yeah.
I don't think I said it on Clubhouse. One of my clients, again, many years like afterwards, said they've just developed something, and one of their requirements was a heavy-duty backpack because they were working in subarctic conditions.
Oh,
And I
wow.
just remembered that, like, this guy was like in my head.
Yeah.
I'm somewhere, and I told him, hey, go look up this guy. And he said, I didn't know he existed. And once he said he didn't know he existed, just like you said a
Yep.
minute ago, and going back many years, I said, bam, that's it. That's what we need. We need a platform where these extremely small companies, and not only, it's also, we'll elaborate on that, but
Yeah,
it's
we
not only
will.
relevant for them, but where these, let's call them small to medium-sized companies, if you may, can get on the stage
Yep.
and get exposed in front of the people they want to be exposed in front of, which is
Yes.
directly in the industry, and it's within directly of, with all due respect, they need to be exposed for the buyers and procurement agents,
Yeah.
managers, and so forth. So, in a nutshell, what the core of the network, not everything, but the core of the network is any member can upload any requirement he has, from human resources to systems to whole systems and services and so forth.
Yep.
And that way, somebody who provides that service, product, know-how can directly contact the person who actually published it, meaning that we're making the connection to the direct buyer or procurement manager, connecting them. And,
Yep.
without going to all these cold calls and, walk the floor in exhibitions, which I'm not against, of course.
Well,
Exhibitions
and
are fun, but
and they cost a lot of money, Alon. I mean, I imagine that man you just mentioned, he probably doesn't have money to go all around the world to all of these trade shows, right? So I think we have a slide that maybe kind of gives a
yeah.
pretty good overview of some of the things we're talking about. So let's pop that up here. So walk us through this, because you've already somewhat alluded to this, but just to kind of foot stomp this for folks to better understand.
Exactly. So the Unmanned network basically has quite a few benefits. At the bottom line, we are the only, and I'm saying this with great pride, because again, the Unmanned network came out of necessity.
Yes.
It came out, what we call from the people,
Right.
if you may. We are the only online platform dedicated to the unmanned industry that brings our members direct actionable leads. Like, we only one. It's not just, hey, open a profile for your company and somebody will search for you and find you. With all due
Yep.
respect, they can do that on Google and find them. But we are the only platform that will tell you, hey, you're a battery manufacturer. This company needs your batteries. Hey, you're looking for a multi-rotor drone that can fly Mach 10 and do 5 somersaults backwards. This is what we're giving you.
Yep.
Other issues, and I think we also have them on the other slides. Of course, the benefits of the Unmanned network are for all company officials, meaning we talked a lot about procurement and buyers, and company A wants something from company B, but human resource, they want to hire somebody. You have your marketing and communications personnel. They want to upload any marketing content on their behalf. You've got your business development, sales, and marketing people.
Right.
They want one thing and one thing only. They want leads. Like, with all due respect, don't bother them unless they have leads.
It's all about leads. And Alon, I want to cut in for a second because I think it's
Yes.
really important up front to tell people, because I know there's people out there. And by the way, if you're out there, please drop your questions in the chat. Please give your positive encouragement or tell us where you are and where you're from. We love to hear all of that. But I want people to know that you can sign up for this for free, right? So
Up to a certain extent, yes.
yeah, absolutely. But like you could, like you said, create a profile on here
Absolutely.
for free. That costs nothing. And you can
It's
go
a
on this
no-brainer.
website, right? Yeah, people could go on this website right now and scan through all this stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I see we have the opportunity slides up.
We do.
Yeah. So this is, an example of the opportunities. So you can see on the left side of the slide, like, various things that have nothing in common with one another. This guy's looking to hire. This guy's looking for something else. We have like a pop-up of a battery opportunity. So if we take that as an example, this is a network member telling all battery manufacturers around the globe, hey, I'm looking for this specific thing, meaning it doesn't get any more direct than this. It's not just company exposure, it's company exposure and I need this from you, which is absolutely.
Well,
Now,
and I'm going to go ahead and ask Mike in the background, take this slide down, but I want to note something because I want to talk a little bit about stakeholders, the broad types of stakeholders you have already in this network, which, by the way, you just started this May, right? Was it this May?
Yeah. So we had the soft launch before because we tested the system, obviously, and all the stuff. But officially, we what we call pressed enter on 1st of May, which is 7 months back, something like that. Now it's been an amazing ride since then, and the idea behind it is that, if we'll talk about the pricing, people can go on the website and see the pricing. Everything is there, of course, but the idea behind it is out of necessity that the unmanned ecosystem it's huge. On ABG-SC sites, we have databases on databases on databases of companies and manufacturers and who does what, and we're in the hundreds of thousands of, let's call it, stakeholders, meaning that in order to be relevant for the market, meaning you're looking for something, come and find it, or better yet, you're literally looking for something specific, the price point is a no-brainer when compared to other, let's call it, promotional content.
Got it.
Example,
but what I wanted to do, I'm going to kind of redirect you a little bit.
Yeah.
On the slide we just saw, I saw a company called Extend, which I'm very familiar with because I actually wrote an article about them for Inside Unmanned Systems magazine about a year ago.
Don't get in their path.
What do you mean?
Don't get in their path. When they're launching something, just move to the side.
Oh, yeah. So they're I think they're Israeli, if I recall, and it's a really cool counter drone like net solution that's all kind of, so that's one example. So there's counter UAS. I saw on your slide eVTOL companies. I saw battery companies. I mean, just kind of walk us through a little bit of the different, you had mentioned, what are the widgets? What are the different kind of ecosystem categories, if you will, that are already tapped in?
So we have about 200 categories.
Oh my gosh.
You don't want me to go one by one.
No. Okay, how about this? I'll reframe. Give me like your top 10, like, of people that visit the site. Like, what are the big ones that people are, maybe persistently checking out?
Whole systems, in the sense of we're looking for a whole multi-rotor fixed wing hybrid and so forth. A lot of engine components, a lot of various. Yes. By the way, this we started to see as a trend about a month, 2 months back, because of, we think, this is from the analysis side, of all the fighting going on in Ukraine, where all these, let's call it, not nice drones are used, and all of a sudden you see all these parts that are made, some of them in the West and some of them are in other parts of the world. So all of a sudden people want to, buy other parts.
So you see like a surge of like, we need these specific components because there's a supply chain issue.
There's a supply chain issue since the COVID, absolutely, as well.
Yeah.
But also we want to change suppliers because, and we had a couple of stories like that, which are not great at all.
Right.
Hey, we start suppliers as components inside Muhajir 6 that was shot down, as an example.
Oh, wow.
All kinds of ITAR stuff and so forth. So we're seeing a surge of all these, hey, let's move the avionics and engine components. A lot of services, of course, this is, not surprising.
Now, when you say services, Alon, are we talking traditional like, hey, I need critical infrastructure inspection capability,
yes.
or something along?
Yes.
And again, just to kind of point out from your original video that we showed at the beginning of the show, we're talking multi-domain here, so we're not just talking about drone. I mean,
that's right.
The title is Unmanned Network, so it's multi-domain. It's air, land, sea.
I can give you an entire session about how much time it took us to come up with. It sounds simple now, but the unmanned network, how much time it took us to come up with the unmanned network.
Right.
But part of it, yes, it's multi-domain, USVs, UAVs, UUVs, UGVs, and so forth. Obviously, the aerial domain is much larger.
Right.
Of course, and we're doing a lot of effort in bringing other domains inside because they're just awesome and growing exponentially. But yes, we're multi-domain. That's what we're shooting for. And to your questions about services, yes,
Yep.
Absolutely. It's critical infrastructure inspection and so forth. And also there, I can say from our statistics that it's about 50%, like half of
Yep.
companies that want to buy the systems and conduct those inspection services, mapping, surveying, and so forth on their own. But a lot of these services companies or pilots for hire, for example,
Yep.
the amazing DroneLife.
DroneLife, yeah.
As an example. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of things.
Wow. So we have components. You've seen a surge in that. You've seen kind of a very big desire for drone services in particular. What would be like the third category, if you will, when you're looking at kind of what people are targeting when they come to your site?
Open positions.
Open positions,
absolutely. Because again, the idea is that our members can upload any requirement. And obviously open positions is a requirement.
Yeah.
And human resource, if people will scroll and look for open members, they'll see anything and everything from all around the world. We have a few. We have some success stories from various categories.
Can you share one?
Yes, absolutely. One of them is a member that I don't know personally. We have over 600 members already.
Yeah.
But he wrote us an email like thanking him. And the thank you was, I'll start from the end.
Yeah.
He promised to buy me a beer when I get to Singapore.
Okay.
Why? Because he relocated from the US to Singapore based on a job that he found on the Unmanned network.
Oh, wow.
Only. So that's awesome. Free beer.
Well, if you go to Singapore, that's an expensive beer, my friend, from Israel to Singapore.
Absolutely. Don't tell my wife. Other success stories are a lot of them from people who looked for specific engine components, whether they're ITAR or ITAR free. It's an issue. By the way, there's also the Israeli equivalent of ITAR, which is API, which is restrictions, valid restrictions, of course, but sometimes you don't need them, so you look for other things.
Yeah.
We talked about it with Maggie on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Last week, that one of the most unique ones that we had was a company looking for a military grade coffee pot to put in the GCS.
Well, I'll tell you, in the ground control station.
Yes.
So we're not talking like a ground control station with your thumb.
No. Inside a class 5 male UAV, GCS. They're looking for a military grade coffee pot.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm just going to call out, it's probably a U.S. Navy person, because when I think about the military service of the United States, I always have this vision of like a sailor on the deck of a ship with his cup of coffee. I worked in joint environment, and I'm telling you, it must be the whole ship thing, but these guys are like, it's like attached to it's like permanently attached. That's hilarious. So someone's looking for, did they find a military grade coffee pot on the network?
To my best of knowledge, not yet, or at least not on the Unmanned network.
All right. Well, so everybody out there, if you know somebody making military grade coffee
me.
pots, there is a buyer on the Unmanned network.
Absolutely. We're already on the top of requirements and leads and stuff like that. There's also the tenders issue on the network.
So let's talk about that, because I think we have a slide on RFIs and tenders and things like this. So walk us through this, Alon.
Absolutely. So as we talked about initially, the other half of my attention is the consultancy and research, where we work directly with our clients. And to that, we monitor tens, sometimes even hundreds of solicitations per day. RFIs, RFPs, and call for proposals. So when we put the network together, we said, hey, we're selling ourselves, which is really what we do, as a lead generating platform. And our leads are very unique because they're what we call internal leads between network members. But we also have these external leads, which is RFIs, RFPs, and call for proposals. Let's put them also on the network. So basically, we're also supplying these RFIs, RFPs, and call for proposals. Of course, they're external, they're government initiated or other organizations, and we just post them on the network as well.
Now, where are you culling these from, Alon? Because I know just in the US, as an example, there's so many, it gets very confusing. And I think that is the biggest challenge, quite frankly, for these small businesses, especially ones that want to work with the government, whether federal, state, local, tribal, territorial, is how do I get inside of this bureaucratic process? How do I even know where to look? And it seems like you're grabbing this information and making it easy for people, but explain how you're doing that.
So we're doing fairly simple. Again, with this specific tenders issue, we're posting them with obvious permissions from the various. We have exactly 68 sources where we take it from a global 68 global sources.
Wow.
And we government issues and stuff like that, and we post them on the network. And again, these are external, so we can help our members to a certain extent. And our help is basically by giving them the information and wishing them the best of luck, because this is not internal. But that being said, the great benefit of that is that the tenders combined with the opportunities basically verify that our members get a whole variety of internal and external leads in order to, bottom line, sell their stuff, sell their services, their expertise, their know-how. So this is just another example of being a direct lead generating platform.
And the difference between this external and, as you call it, kind of your internal amongst your 600 plus members and growing. And I say and growing because it continues to grow. And by the way, everybody out there, sign up. It's a no-brainer. We're going to talk about additional pricing here in a second. But the difference between the external and internal leads is the internal a little bit more, let's call it white glove, if you will. In other words, there's a little bit more, kind of direct massaging of that between your members.
It's that's one way to put it. But it's member one telling member two, hey, I need this from you.
Gotcha.
Like, as direct as it gets.
Yes.
Like the next phase is basically putting a hammer down his face. That's as direct as it gets. The tenders, which are external, so it's basically an external source saying, hey, this government entity of this country is looking for 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's basically internal, external, and whole envelope of global leads.
So let's kind of walk people through, you know, you have the subscription model, so people can
Yes.
absolutely sign up for free, but you unlock additional, let's just say benefits, if you actually sign up, and I believe you have different categories. Can you kind of
That's
talk
right.
us through some of that?
Absolutely. And I'm already telling anybody who has the site is pretty straightforward, but please contact us and our team will be happy to help out with any question whatsoever with
Mhm.
regarding with the subscription. So the bottom line is when we came up, and I believe me, this is another session on its own on how we came up with this pricing point.
Right.
Um, the idea and our mission, our purpose is to physically connect stakeholders, to tell this company, hey, you're, again, battery manufacturer. I don't know why it's stuck in my head, a battery manufacturer.
Uh-huh.
This is this company and that company and that company. These are three companies who want this from you. So it's leads. So on one hand, with all due respect, we need to be of revenue in order to provide those leads. On the
Right.
other hand, we need to bring in both sides of the party. We need to bring in the suppliers and we need to bring in the companies that request whatever it is that they're requesting.
Yes.
And sometimes, by the way, it's the same companies because you can also request and sell, of course.
Yep. Yep.
Every company is looking for drones and selling their services, for
That's
example.
true.
So it's a two-sided marketplace. So we looked for a price point where it's going to be a no-brainer. So it basically runs like this. The free is, it's free. The only cost is 3 minutes of your time to sign up. And what it allows you to do is to open a free company profile, member profile. So just sign up, like put information about your company, URL, websites, a picture, a video, whatever you want. Put it inside, and you'll already be exposed and searched and found in accordance with your categories that your company does. So if somebody will look for a company that does something, they'll search for you and find you. So that's free. That's a no-brainer.
Yes.
After that, we have basic, advanced, and premium. They run through, in accordance, $400 per year annually, $500 per year, and $700 per year. Where the main difference basically is the number of sub-users, because you have your big companies that have your HR, procurement, lawyers, so forth.
Okay.
You have your small companies like my friend from the beginning who and his wife do everything.
Right.
So it's the number of sub-users and various, it's called unlocking features. For example, in order to obtain access to tenders, you need to be a premium. For example,
Got it.
premium members can also upload any content that they want, whether it's articles, press releases, podcasts, and so forth. They can upload anything that they want, and that gives them even additional exposure in
Right.
addition to their profile. So that is at the $700 mark per year. And the idea behind it again is extremely simple.
And I just, Alon, I'm sorry to
yeah,
interrupt you again. I keep doing that,
of
but
course.
I,
No,
I, I do want to say, like, here we have a slide. You see, there's my head, there's my company. Alon reached out. When did you reach out to me? It was like after AUVSI. I feel like it was pretty close,
when we
pretty
just
shortly.
launched.
Yeah, you had just launched and you said, hey, we're doing this thing. Do you want to be a part of this? You can do it for free. And I was like, yeah. So guys and gals out there, this did literally take me 3 minutes. You can see how professional looking this is. And, clearly a lot of exposure to, 600 members internally, but externally, other people visiting this site.
You said externally, again, launched on May 1st. The only marketing we did up until now was a little bit LinkedIn direct messaging and posts and stuff like that. I
Right.
can tell you that since May 1st, with not too much, no, not SEOs at all, not something like that.
Right.
And we only went to one show 2 months ago to DroneX. That was like our first show. We've already crossed the 20,000 unique visitor mark.
Wow.
So again, if we're talking about exposure for your company,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Very cool.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I'm sorry. So you were in the middle of kind of, you have this, the basic, the premium, and what was that third category?
Advanced.
Advanced.
Yeah,
And the difference is kind of what you're unlocking here. And for premium, you get access to the external
everything.
leads.
Just to everything.
What does the advanced give you for like the 700?
Yeah, so the basic and the advanced, which are $300 and $500 in accordance, basically give you access to the opportunities, which are the internal leads between
Yep.
members. And it's really worthwhile for many, many members because a lot of the members, again, going back to my friend with the backpacks,
Yes.
he's not going to participate in any tender out there.
Right.
Probably. Like I think there aren't many tenders for backpacks. What he's
Right.
really interested in is leads from direct OEMs looking for those backpacks. So the basic and the advanced give them access to the opportunities. The difference between basic and advanced is the number of sub-users. That's it. Small company,
So
big
like the number of
company.
people, if you will, like in your company,
Yeah,
like almost like
absolutely.
some, I know Women in Drones as an example has like, an individual member, a small business member, a corporate member. I know they have like another level. And I think you're right. It's all about like how many people will then be able to have that password to kind of get in to do the things on that site. We have a great question out there, Alon. Zed
Absolutely.
PV says, what guarantee is there that there will be jobs in the country I live in? I don't know where you live, Zed, but that is a great question because if you're, laying out money, you want relevant opportunities. So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So I'll talk in general and then I'll address jobs specifically because we are not a solely HR job related website. We do
Right.
jobs, we do
Right.
positions as
Yes.
part of the broader opportunities spectrum. So what guarantee that you have, and I'll be very honest, you don't. It's depending on our members, to be honest. If we have members that are working in or have projects within your country of interest and they need amazing people, they will post it. The
Well, tell
site I
us a
can
little bit
tell,
about the countries. Like, almost like the breakdown of, you have 600 plus members, where are they sitting? I know you mentioned a US person got a job in Singapore. There's two countries
mm,
right there.
yeah. Um, we are very much focused because of, call it, market demands and market requirements. Not that we have any, um, we want to be in a certain place out of another, but
Right.
reality is that we are very much focused in the US. We are very much focused in Europe with emphasis on, no, all of Europe. I want to say West Europe, but actually all of Europe, basically, because the East is waking up right now for the past 6 months, unfortunately, of course, and Southeast Asia as well. The Indian subcontinent is waking up to the Unmanned network as well. Of course, India is a market on its own. It's like
Well, it
we
is.
need to.
I can't tell. I mean, I can't even tell you how many LinkedIn followers I have from India in this industry.
I need
Just huge.
I, I need to do an Unmanned network dedicated just to India, like as an
Oh my
example.
gosh.
Absolutely. So to answer Zed's question, no, I don't have any guarantee. But this is a long-term game. And if you're looking for jobs, if you're looking for opportunities, um, it will come today, it'll come tomorrow, it'll come next week, next month. Maybe today there's nothing, but next month there will be 20.
And I have to say something about that, Alon, because you mentioned DroneHive as one example. But it sounds like it's almost like a network within a network because DroneHive in and of itself is a drone pilot network. They're on your network. So just the fact that DroneHive is on there gives you access to all kinds of jobs across the United States if you sign up with them. So I think there's just a lot of opportunities there.
Absolutely. Like I said before, we're not a fully, HR focused website. There are
Right,
too many
right.
websites out there to do that. We're doing the jobs out of requirements, for example.
Yes.
But yeah, basically, even those other, let's call it network sites that do networking with whatever,
Yep.
they find the benefits of the network because it suits them as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and on this jobs thing, I have to say there is such a huge demand for drone pilots out there. I can't tell you how many guests we've had on this show just in the past 3 months that have outright said, we are hiring, we are doubling our pilot network. We had, as an example, a Workhorse that has, you know, an electric truck that the drone flies out of the roof for last mile delivery. They're
yeah,
hiring. We had Mission Go that's sponsoring this month. Chris Corgnati, the president, was on here saying, I feel like he said, we're doubling our staff because they just got this huge infrastructure gig, you know, for, I think, power lines. And they're like, we need pilots. So I feel like the jobs are out there. And when you think about diverse hires, you know, women in particular, so many companies are looking for, you know, they're seeking diverse candidates and they're having a hard time. So again, if you're out there, sign up, whatever level, but great opportunities out there.
I will say just one last sentence with regarding to jobs,
Yeah.
women, and the United States
Yeah.
all together. Um, we work with amazing partners all around the world, and our partner and endorser in the United States is the amazing Whitney Brooks from Unmanned Power. Now, Unmanned Power is a powerhouse when it comes to open positions within the unmanned industry within the United States. So Whitney works on the Unmanned network and posts all her job opportunities. So yeah, that says something for the U.S. market as an
That
example.
just another great example. I can't believe how much time is how the quickly time has flown along. Well,
Yeah.
maybe I can because I knew this would be another great conversation. So your origin story started at a conference. You know, that's what, as you said, got that seed planted in your brain and germinated over the years, and has now grown into this beautiful thing called the Unmanned Network that continues to grow.
Yes.
Are you going to be at any conferences? You just mentioned the first one you've been to in this business that you've created. Anything coming up that maybe where people can see you in person?
Yes. So we're going to be in IDEX in Abu Dhabi
Oh, wow.
in February, 20th of February, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
We were actually also in commercial. We had a representative in commercial UV back in Vegas.
Oh, great.
AUVSI, of course. Whether we're going to have a booth there or walking the grounds there, we will be there, obviously. And many others to come in 2023.
Well, let's connect, Alon, because let's talk more after this. We're doing our Law Tech Connect workshop again with AUVSI on day one of, you know, kind of that Monday before it kicks off big on Tuesday.
Excellent.
It's going to be awesome, and we'll see how we can maybe plug you in and get some information up on your network about that as well.
Of course. That's what we're here for.
Awesome. And then, so what? Look, we're almost at 2023. You know, you mentioned some events you're going to. What else are you kind of projecting? Like, what are you excited about for next year for your company, for the Unmanned Network, just for the industry in general? With the couple minutes we have left.
Again, a subject on its own.
It is. It could,
Absolutely.
and it, by the way, it will be a whole month dedicated to this topic, the best of 2022, and we'll be forecasting 2023 next month. But go ahead,
Yeah,
please.
so actually, this is what we call an ABG-SC question.
Ah,
As we do market trends and operational trends and technical trends and market trends
yes.
and so forth. I don't like the word forecasting because in Hebrew we have a saying, "Anevua nitna lashotim," meaning that prophecy is given to the fools. I don't
Okay.
like the word forecasting. I always look, we come from rich history, so I look at our history and then from that try to assess what will happen. 2023 is going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing to the unmanned industry on very, huge levels. I can talk a lot about the civilian applications industry. I can talk much more on the military side. I'll just say this because we don't have a lot of time.
Right.
War is bad.
Yes.
Nobody likes this. Even in Israel now, we have a lot of amazing people come to seek shelter from Ukraine. and you see it and it's horrible. We live in a place where it's not a nice neighborhood, so we
Yes.
know what it means. That being said, and I'd rather be out of any job whatsoever as long as there's not going to be any crisis out there. But what we have witnessed for the past year, maybe 2 years, since Nagorno-Karabakh in Azerbaijan, going into Ukraine, going into the Middle East, a little far away, some the Gulf area with ships and stuff like
Yes.
that. What we're seeing there is just a prologue or what comes up, prologue, epilogue, thing that comes before.
Yes. No, this prologue.
A prologue to what will happen for the good and hopefully not for the bad. We're going to see unmanned technology in places we have never seen them before,
Yep.
both in the civilian and military industry. And it's going to be extremely interesting on many fronts.
It will be, and to your point, I think things like counter UAS, cybersecurity, all of these things that, at least in the U.S., have not been a huge part of the R&D ecosystem up till now. They've been like, okay, we'll get to that. I think these are now going to be, there's going to be a big surge, and a recognition of, okay, our like connections need to be secured. Like we can't get hijacked. Like we can't get spoofed here.
Absolutely. I will tell you this one sentence because I know we're
Yeah,
right out of time in a
we
second.
are almost. Yeah.
Companies that will keep on focusing solely on the platform, meaning how high, fast, and how much I can carry, which is it is important.
Sure.
I'm not
Great
saying it's
stuff.
not important, but when they'll focus only on that and not on the envelope, not on the connectivity, not on the cyber, not on artificial intelligence, machine learning, and everything that comes,
The data
they'll be
management, all of it, privacy, like
absolutely,
all of these things.
they will be deemed useless,
Yeah.
unfortunately, and that's where we're going.
And it's a great note to end on because we are at time. It's all about those connections. And so if you're out there, you want to make those connections, tap into the Unmanned Network, reach out to Alon. Alon, I know we're going to have your website here at the end. I think we already had dropped that in the chat, but 30 seconds, you get the floor to kind of close us out today.
First and foremost, happy Thanksgiving to everybody and all that have taken the time. Don, it's been a pleasure, as always, of course. And looking forward to seeing anybody and everybody, whether you're looking for a job or you're head of Lockheed Martin. I'm looking to see everybody on the network, and do contact us upon the smallest question ever. We're here for
Awesome.
everybody.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you everybody out there as well for joining us. For those in the US, or those that celebrate Thanksgiving, have a great holiday weekend. We'll be back next week. We're going to, like I said, not do Drone Law Connections tomorrow. I'm going to be eating turkey with my family, giving thanks for all of you and for all the blessings in my life, which are really kind of too many to count. And then next Wednesday, we'll have Frank Sagara from Connexicor. He's going to be our Volatus Above and Beyond guest as we close this month out dedicated to global industry leaders. So that's all she wrote. Thank you. We are out here.